Martin van Creveld, The Rise and Decline of the State. Delve into the intriguing world of the state in Martin van Creveld's book, The Rise and Decline of the State. This comprehensive summary brings to light the evolution of the state as an abstract entity possessing unique powers that sets it apart from rulers and the ruled. Discover how humans were governed before the state, how it monopolized violence and transformed warfare, and how political theories emerged alongside it. You'll also learn about the ties between nationalism and statehood, the decline of the welfare state, the impact of technology, and the uncertain future of this colossal institution.
The state as a corporation. The state is an abstract entity that stands separate from both its rulers and the ruled, similar to a corporation like a university, trade union, or church. It has certain exclusive functions that it reserves for itself and exercises in a specific territory. This concept was recently invented, which differs from the traditional definition of a state. The evolution of government. Humans were once governed by tribes without rulers, tribes with rulers, city-states, and empires. The state, an offshoot of bureaucracy and autocracy, gained power through taxation and privileges. Among these, empires were the only form capable of significant expansion. Emperors were absolute rulers, combining all government functions while controlling the wealth of the empire. Nevertheless, the empire's power was limited as its army and bureaucracy were not as strong as their modern counterparts and couldn't rule by force or finance themselves effectively. The rise of European monarchies. In medieval Europe, the emperor was considered divine, but in Christian Europe, the emperor's power was limited, and the pope was the spiritual leader. A power struggle between the empire, the church, the nobility, and the cities allowed monarchies to arise and evolve into states. The Reformation opened the door for princes to gain control of the church, and the 30 Years' War was a failed attempt to restore the power of the Holy Roman Emperor. The Peace of Westphalia in 1648 sealed the monarch's victory over the church and the empire. As the kings centralized more authority, the nobility surrendered their independence in exchange for privileges, and the cities became the main supporters of the new capitalist system fostered by the monarchies. The emergence of the impersonal state. The rise of the modern state separated the ruler from the state, granting the state more power, and bureaucracy fueled its growth. As bureaucrats gained more power, they began to see themselves as servants to an impersonal state. The state monopolized all forms of violence, including the army, police, and prisons, and emerged as the most powerful political construct. In the process, the ruler's significance faded as the state gained new financial resources. New political theories were born, leading to the rise of abstract commonwealths, and the state's first allegiance became its citizenry's priority. The political construct became so strong that only another state could oppose it. The rise of totalitarianism. Nationalism transformed the state from a means to impose law and order into a living god. The state stepped in to elevate itself as intermediary of modern life, extending its reach into every aspect of life. With the development of news media, public affairs became a mass obsession and the state gained total control. To fight bigger and fiercer wars, states gained a monopoly over money. Total war broke down the trinity of government, army, and citizenry, culminating in the era of totalitarianism. Evolution of state institutions. From the emergence of Western European states diversely governed by bureaucrats to the global domination of powerful states, the 20th century marks a significant advancement in the structure of state institutions. The emergence of railroads enabled large states like the US and Russia to leverage their natural resources better. Elsewhere, the impact of Latin America's racial dynamics hampered political stability, industrialization, and urban integration. African and Asian countries inherited their state institutions from European colonial powers and still grapple with ethnic diversity. The more the centralization of bureaucracy, the more control it tends to wrestle from rulers. This book highlights how state institutions have evolved over time, their impact on the economic and social development of nations, how differences in state institutions influence the politics and society of a nation, and the potential threats they pose to a nation's stability. The decline of the state. The role of the state has drastically changed over time. Originally created to wage wars, states now focus their energies inward on creating welfare states. However, even the welfare state has faced decline due to economic struggles and the expansion of those eligible for benefits. Meanwhile, technology has led to the surrender of sovereignty to transnational bodies, leaving states facing the threat of terrorism and a loss of faith from its citizens. Victory in war no longer guarantees self-preservation, rendering only third- and fourth-rate powers capable of significant interstate war. The decline of the state's power and influence has resulted in it being viewed as simply tolerated rather than revered, marking the end of its days as a god on earth. The voluntary retreat of the state. In this book, it is argued that the state's retreat is not solely due to external forces, but rather a conscious choice. As the state weakens, its institutions, including the military and justice system, will likely decline as well. Meanwhile, the global economy will provide opportunities for those who can thrive in it, leaving a disenfranchised underclass behind. While the new world will be fraught with greater insecurity and turmoil, it is neither wholly positive nor negative.
As the journey through the rise and decline of the state comes to a close, we see that this once all-powerful entity is now being challenged and gradually receding. Though the state remains a significant presence, its decline is marked by the loss of power and influence over its people. As technology advances and transnational organizations grow, the state's hold on its monopoly of power weakens. Security and the provision of services are now being privatized and international organizations are increasing in authority, while the state's ability to wage war diminishes due to nuclear weapons. The state may no longer be viewed as a god on earth, but the new world that emerges from its decline offers an equal mix of danger, opportunity, and uncertainty, leaving us with a future not so different from the past.